We would like to welcome you to a very special Halloween edition of the walkthrough. As you can see, we've dressed up.
You did, I didn't.
Yes, I'll let you guys try to figure out who we are. It's probably easier to figure out who he is than it is me, but...
Yeah, because my shirt has my name on it.
But we'll be here to get into some of the games for the makeup week of the season. Still regular season. We thought at the beginning of the year this would be playoff time, but it's regular season, making up some games. Some people aren't making up some games.
I think we can kind of bank on this every year at this point, that we're going to get that season extended a week.
Yes,
so,
the makeup week.
You know what? It may not be the start of playoffs, but it's a chance to get into playoff mode.
Definitely. So we'll be back to talk about all that, hand out some game balls, and award the Chick-fil-A Player of the Week right after this break.
Keep your family comfortable all year long and save money on your utility bills with a preferred client service program from Holly Heating and Air. Holly's service program includes priority service, no overtime charges, 15% off all repairs, plus a regular duct system inspection. And should you suddenly need us, we're here for you with emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year. So turn to the experts, Carrier, and the comfort pros at Holly Heating and Air. A name you know, a name you trust.
All right, now we've transitioned back to our game balls board, which also fits our Halloween theme.
Extra spooky.
Extra spooky. But we're going to hand out some game balls this week, and I'm going to start out by giving one to Wagner Sally's Kevin Jackson. He had himself a big game, 4 carries, 77 yards. Also caught a couple passes for 54 yards and 2 total touchdowns, and a big victory for Wagner Sally. And he also had some company in the big game department. Nathan Chandler, who is kind of linebacker, quarterback, whatever he does it well.
Hey, whatever they need him to do.
Whatever he needs him to do. 11 tackles this week, 2 tackles for loss, completed all 4 of his pass attempts, 2 for a touchdown, and a pass for 87 yards in that game.
And that game clinches the first region championship for Wagner
Yes,
Sally since 1994. We can't say it enough. We can't say it enough. You know, making history over there in Wagner. You know, great stuff. I was there for that game Thursday night, and you know, they set the tone from the start. They were off and running. They had a goal to accomplish, and they took care of it. Yeah. So we transitioned from, you know, taking care of business to clinch a region championship to taking care of business to more or less lock up a home game in the first round. Big deal as well. And we're going to go over to South Aiken for this one. We'll start with Ziggy Harrison, and this one's fun right here. We have been on some kind of roll this season with our defensive players scoring offensive touchdowns.
Yes.
Ziggy's on the list now with a touchdown run against Midland Valley. Also had a sack in that game, and we kind of talked about it over the weekend. I feel like that's the last guy I would try to tackle if he was heading toward the end zone.
I want no parts of that.
So there's sort of your power aspect of the run game. Why don't we go more for the speed side now with Niquel Ryans. Now, he was a guy that I think we thought could have a big impact in that game against Midland Valley, and I mean, he took, you know, full advantage of what was in front of him. He goes for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns on 13 carries in that win for South Aiken.
Doesn't get much better than that. Moving right along to another team that picked up a big win, and obviously Ridgespring Monetta getting some momentum started, and Remedy Leapart getting the pass game going.
That's the confidence builder right there.
Definitely passed for 225 and 2 touchdowns in that game. Had a good completion percentage in that one, and he also got some help from a guy receiving a lot of those passes, and Jerry Tyler, who is just athletic, and once he gets the ball in his hands, he can make things happen. He had a touchdown and over 100 yards receiving also.
If it's a Friday night, odds are Jerry Tyler's getting to the end zone. You know, return game, as a runner, as a receiver, after he makes an interception, he's going to score.
Definitely.
So why not add to it? How about another guy who he's going to find his way to the end zone a lot every Friday night, and that is North Augusta's Tanner White. Big game for him. Goes over 1,000 yards rushing for the season. So did Jakari Buxton. You know, big year for both of them running the football. But White, he goes for 164 yards rushing, passed for 87, and had 3 touchdowns in the win over Aiken. And you know, we talked region championship with Wagner Sally. Region championship for North Augusta.
Yes.
The Jackets go back to back. They'll have a 1 seed in the playoffs, and Well, you can't have a game balls board without Creek Collier, and we find a way to get him into the end zone on more than one occasion and on more than one type of play. It's only fitting as he opened the season by returning the opening kickoff against Thompson for a touchdown. Now he comes out, rushes for a touchdown, and has a pick six to go along with 9 tackles. What can't he do?
Doesn't get much better than that for those guys helping lock up a region title. Someone else who locked up a region title, Barnwell, and a big part of that was Deshaun Watson, who had a big game for that defense there, had 12 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, a sack, forced a fumble, and recovered a fumble in a big region win for them.
It kind of shook the Bamberg bug there, and you know what? It was a fumble that kind of decided that thing too.
Sealed the deal for them, so big game for them.
You want to talk about big game? Why don't we talk about Jamal Washington over at Silver Bluff? It didn't look like, and you were there, you saw it, didn't look like a ton was working offensively because Fox Creek was playing some defense. There's Jamal Washington to give you the spark. He had touchdown runs of 80 yards and 55 yards in that game. He rushes for 163 and 2 scores in a 14-3 win, and that locked up a playoff spot for Silver Bluff.
Got good stuff there from all of these guys, and we'll be right back to hand out a Chick-fil-A Player of the Week award to one of these guys on the board. We'll do that right after this break.
It all started at one family night in Dumfries, Virginia. Family night is for everybody. It's a time for families to do crafts together.
The kids just love going to Chick-fil-A for dinner. Being the single mom and getting everybody ready, it was tough. We would get there a little bit late, like on the tail end of it. Helen saw that I was having trouble getting them to Chick-fil-A for the family night on time and actually got it extended another hour. Noticing things like that, I never really told her how much she affected me, but she did.
Love you.
All right, we'd like to welcome you back, and before we get started, we want to congratulate Jamal Washington, Silver Bluff quarterback, had a 2-touchdown performance and a big victory for them to get them in the playoffs, and so that was enough to earn him the Chick-fil-A Player of the Week. The fans went out and voted for him, so congratulations to Jamal Washington.
Yeah, and Jamal Washington and the Bulldogs on a little win streak with some momentum heading into the playoffs. That's the kind of thing, if you're a 1 seed, you don't want to see that coming into your house.
Definitely. So we'll transition from there to talk about some rankings, not ones that are as important as region standings, but the media poll came out again. North Augusta moved up another spot.
Hey, our only mover in the area.
Yeah, and they got up a spot to number 7. Elsewhere, it was a lot of the same, with Strom Thurmond staying put at 5, and Barnwell at 2, Wagner at 2, and Richmond was at 9.
You know, I thought maybe Barnwell getting a win over Bamberg Earhart would be good for one first place vote.
There was a lot of thought, I hear, that went into it, maybe considering it, but it didn't go that way. But we'll see how things shake out here in the playoffs.
Ultimately, I mean, it may be a number 2 ranking, but they've got a number 1 seed for the playoffs, and that ultimately is what's more important.
Definitely. But moving along, we have a unique week of games this week. We have
it's makeup week.
The makeup week for the earlier week, and
it's necessary makeup week.
Yes, necessary makeup week, because some of the games in that week, they had importance back during week 4, but now they don't have any importance. So
they might not have had any back then either.
Well, yeah, but in terms of getting ready for region play. But so a couple of teams will not be playing their makeup game. Silver Bluff will not be playing out Allendale, not Abbeville, Allendale, Fairfax. Barnwell will not be making up their game against Wade Hampton. And Strom played their game that week, so they are.
Thurman's just breezed right through 10 straight.
10 straight, and they have plenty of time to sit around and.
Thurman, North Augusta, and Midland Valley. No need for makeups.
Yes, and so they can sit around and. A couple of those teams can prepare for the playoffs, but we do have some action. And,
we've got some games.
We do have some games. We'll start at the 4A level with South Aiken taking on a pretty talented Westwood team that's familiar with the area and played some teams in the area. And going into this one, obviously, Westwood still has some stuff to play for in terms of at-large seeding in the playoffs.
that's kind of the byproduct of the region that Westwood plays in. You know, started out on a roll, then ran into that region. And suddenly, you know, they got the win over Richland Northeast last week, but now it's, you know, you're trying to build a case here. You're trying to have a resume for when these applications go off for these at-large spots. You got to play this one out. So for South Aiken, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But it's a chance for them to go ahead and get in their playoff mentality, that playoff mindset, to have that playoff intensity and practice all this week, so then they're not having to just jump into it next week.
Definitely. So they'll look to kind of continue that strong momentum that they had.
And South Aiken, by virtue of, you know, all the stuff that happened last week, where that, you know, North Augusta clinches that region title because Airport went and beat Brooklyn Casey on Sunday. That dropped Brooklyn Casey from potentially winning the region down to the number 4. So South Aiken is the number 3 seed, will be at home next Friday. And so now it's just, okay, we'll use this Westwood week to just get in that right frame of mind. And, I mean, South Aiken teams, you know, they've had a knack for getting it going this time of year recently.
Yeah, they certainly have. Moving along to another game that doesn't have as much meaning for one of the teams, Fox Creek taking on Columbia in that game. Be played on Thursday night and senior night for those guys. And Fox Creek comes in after a rough region run, but they have a chance to close the season out with a victory.
Right. Yeah. You know, started out 3-0, and then had some things go the wrong way against Crescent, and then just ran into, man, what a tough region schedule that was. And, it was something that Coach Derek Quinn talked about before the season, that this team, going to be a lot better than that record suggests, whether they, turned out to surprise people or not. But yeah, it is a chance now to close it out on a winning note, and facing a Columbia team that sort of stepped in and filled Fox Creek's spot in Region 3 2A. They're in that region with Gray Collegiate and all the old friends, and Columbia getting ready for a home playoff game against Batesburg Leesville. So a couple weeks in a row, Columbia's going to get a taste of Region 2 2A football, and it's not for the faint of heart.
It definitely is not. Definitely not. So that should be a big, exciting night out there for Fox Creek with another chance to take the field. Going down to the 1A level, we have...
These are the necessary, super necessary
the necessary games. There would have been 3 games. However, Richmond and North will not be playing this week.
And it kind of, we started this season... Well, we started the region point of the season because we don't talk about North before region. Yeah. But it was a thing where it's always a numbers game with North. Yeah. Where, you see them playing games and you see that they've got, your 11 on the field and then 4 guys on the bench type thing. Well, that game with Wagner Sally rolls around and they've got, 24, 25 guys on the roster, and you're thinking they may not win, but they're going to get through a season. They're, going to build numbers. Well, no, they're back down to 9 guys. So forfeited last week to Blackville Hilda, forfeiting this week to Ridge Spring Minetta. Ridge Spring Minetta locked into the number 3 seed from Region 3A and will be at Timmonsville in the first round of the playoffs.
Definitely. So they can start turning their attention to that with the off week essentially, but other 2 area teams in that region will have to take the field, and Wagner Sally has a game with HKT where...
A Thursday nighter.
Yeah, another Thursday nighter where Wagner Sally, everything's already wrapped up. HKT kind of doesn't have much to play for at the time either, but those 2 will be out there on the field in a region game as well.
And, it's a rivalry deal. I think HKT kind of forces rivalries just because it's just more intense and oftentimes chippy contests, whether that's, we see it in football and basketball all season long. So for Wagner-Sally, a key here, obviously Wagner-Sally is going to do Wagner-Sally things.
Yes.
You know, the War Eagles want to impose their will offensively. They want to take away an HKT passing game that, I mean, they throw it more than really anybody that Wagner-Sally plays. So they want to do those things, and that's part of the game plan. They do this every week. They take away what the other team does well. Well, now also, they got to keep their heads on straight.
Yeah.
Because HKT doesn't have anything left to play for, and if you're Wagner-Sally, you just can't fall into that trap of, you know, maybe getting into a little more pushing and shoving than is really necessary, that kind of thing. I talked with Coach Willie Fox, and he said that is like the message to the team. If, you know, something happens that gets under their skin, turn around, sprint right back to him on the sideline, and, you know, vent that way. But none of that will take place on the field because they got a big future over there at Wagner-Sally. You know, clinched the region championship, locked into that #1 seed. It's got a first-round bye with it. Technically, they might not have really had to play this game. You don't want to go into the playoffs with 2 straight weeks off, though.
Yeah, definitely not. We have a team that will be doing that, but
it's tough. It's tough. You don't want to if you don't have to.
Yes. Elsewhere in that region, Wilson-Elko was with a game against Estill, another makeup game, and they're looking to go into the playoffs with some momentum also with this game.
Here's, you know, something that Derek Youngblood told me, that it's the kind of things that we're talking about later in the season than we're used to with Wilson-Elko, but man, what a time to be talking about. Said that their game against Denmark OR last week, probably the best game they've played this season. You know, they played clean. They were +4 in turnovers. They didn't commit any any stupid penalties. They ran the football well. Those are Wilson-Elko things, and those are things that Wilson-Elko is doing heading into the playoffs. So, yeah, it was a really young team when they started the season. And it was a case of there's a lot of guys that have to grow up pretty fast. Well, sometimes they don't always grow up as fast as you want them to, but they're doing the right things right now. So against Estill, we talked about this on here last week with Wagner-Sally playing Estill. They're not going to line up in the same formation twice in a row offensively. Saw them play last Thursday night, and it was a whole lot of, you know, looking out there going, what are they doing? You know, just really just bizarre, because we don't ever see anything like that, yet it can be really effective. So the key for Wilson-Elko there, stopping that, is to not get caught up in the 25, 30, 35 formations that they have. It's just get them lined up where they need to be and turn them loose. Just, you know, let them play football. Don't get caught up in the other stuff. So, again, they're starting to roll. And we're already looking at a case where we know what all the playoff seeds are for that region. We can kind of forecast where all this is going. You know, Wilson-Elko, unless something weird happens in terms of paperwork being misfiled or whatever else, they're playing McCormick next week in the first round. This is a chance to just keep it rolling and try to head out there and knock them off.
Definitely. But that's all the games we have.
The abbreviated slate.
The abbreviated slate of games. None of my teams decided they wanted to play. So
they didn't want you to have to do any work this week. They just wanted me to work.
Exactly. But we'll be right back after this break to wrap things up here on the Halloween edition of the Walkthrough.
Keep your family comfortable all year long and save money on your utility bills with a preferred client service program from Holly Heating and Air. Holly's service program includes priority service, no overtime charges, 15% off all repairs, plus a regular duct system inspection. And should you suddenly need us, we're here for you with emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year. So turn to the experts, Carrier, and the comfort pros at Holly Heating and Air. A name you know, a name you trust.
Well, that is all we have for you this week on the Halloween edition of the Walkthrough. It's been fun going through the regular season. We'll still have...
Oh, we're not done.
Yeah, we'll still have playoff walkthrough. It'll be a little different. It won't be as long. Or
we might actually walk through.
We may. But if you stick around for the bonus footage, there's bonus footage on this episode. you'll see why we don't have anyone.
You better edit it right now because you promised it.
I've already started that process, but there's going to be behind the scenes look, and we're going to show you some of the people who make this thing happen. So for Cal Dawson, I'm Eric Russell. We will see you out there on the sidelines this week. We are back on our behind-the-scenes version of the walkthrough at the Game Balls board, and to my left is the person who makes this happen. I'm so glad I actually said left there, Christina. And it's a very special spooky Game Balls board because it's also our Halloween episode.
Well, and, we've kind of been doing the October spooky thing for, well, a month now. This one with the addition of the bats, I feel like, is the spookiest yet.
It's a game changer.
Don't forget the pumpkin.
There's also a pumpkin, but she makes all that happen, so we'd like to thank her for all of her work this season, and that's it.
That's a happy Halloween.
There you go. See, I told you he knows everything.
Trick or treat.
We promised you special guests, and you will meet them. You already met one in our bonus footage. The person who makes the camera work look great.
It's the reason we're both in the frame.
Shayna Donahue, who is right here and it's going to come on the camera, and she has to do it really fast because I stopped her from being on deadline. So
some people are still working around here.
Yeah, but yeah, you can just step in and wave to the people. Hi. You might want to walk over here a little bit.
Hello.
Look at Shayna.
Usually I'm back there.
Yes, and she also is a star because she sits behind us. But we appreciate all Shayna.
Not her first appearance on the show.
Exactly.
Generally, people are standing in front of me.
We can edit that later.
I tried to send through the entire football production. It'll be fine.
Oh, great.
I do seem to recall hearing that a lot. Oh, you forgot your line? Oh, it'll be fine.
It'll be all right. It'll be okay.
Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna say something, and then I feel like Cal plays off me pretty well. Like,
yeah,
we have a system.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. All right.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we're gonna be at the playoff versions of the walkthrough, which we have something special planned for that. Can't tell you yet, but
I don't know what it is either. So we'll all find out together.
A close loss and then another kind of tight game for most of the game.
They dropped 2 spots though.
Richmond was still 8?
Yeah.
Are we still lopsided? Or is that the screen?
Does that not look lopsided?
I feel like some of the little things are lopsided, so I can never really tell.
Maybe the building is lopsided.
Wilson Elko will be taking on a big challenge also in, I forgot who Wilson Elko is.
Wilson Elko's playing Nestle.
Alright.
That's like the second take that we've had in weeks.
Yeah, especially at Game Balls. I feel like we only ever had to start over once on Game Balls.
I'll wing it.
Oh, isn't that how we do it here?
Indeed it is. And had over 100 and I forgot how many yards.
133.
133 total yards. We're going to rewind.
Allion Creech, his Barnwell teammate. I'm going to redo that one because I couldn't strong hand the football on up there. Uh-oh, where did it go?
Uh-oh, where did it go?
Much better.
That's got to make the...
going on there.
I should have named the horse before we raced it, but oh well. Cristiano, wow.
Walk into the shot, or do you want to
I
just...
just want to sit here.
It would be a walkthrough.
It would be a walkthrough to do it for
Jerry
Shayna's part
Tyler is
later.
now Airy Tyler, just so you know.
Oh, poor Jerry. I don't really ever have a plan. My expertise is making it work once I get there.
Exactly.
I can see what I'm doing with my hands.
Yeah. I never know what to do with them. But anyway.
There you go.
Coming for you, Hulk Hogan.
This is going to be a way longer conversation.
Whoa, I dropped my belt. Oh, about tipped it.
And the camera was still rolling. That would have been great TV.
Oh, that would have probably hurt. hurt because that's a long way down.
Yeah.
Hello. No.
Yeah, that's how we want to bring in the viewers.
I didn't know what I wanted to say. We'd like to welcome you to another episode of The Walkthrough. I forgot what week it was.
It's
also.
week 7.
It is week 7.
It is.
We're going to redo that one. We're going to try to save it there. All right.
As it is this week.
It's a theme for Halloween.
I thought you didn't want to talk.
Sorry.
This is our spooky.
Well, that is all we have for you this week on the episode. Almost.
Almost.
The episode.
On the episode.
But for Eric Russell I am Eric Russell. We're just going to keep this one all the way through.
But
I always wondered how TV worked.
Lots of mistakes.
There's David in the background.
Not usually as beautifully as we do it.
Wait,
I
are
know.
you still rolling?
See? Now you get to know everything that goes on in the walkthrough.
It's not just us.
It's not just us.
It takes a village
It
to
does.
raise a
It
walkthrough.
does. We promised you Colin, he bailed on us, but we're going to get him to make picks on air at some point before this.
Yeah, we'll get him to come and pick names out of a hat and make his picks.
Yes, but you've been watching the behind the scenes episode of the walkthrough. Bonus footage.
That has to have special music, right?
Oh, yeah, we should put some special music into it.
That's good. Probably something we don't have the rights to.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll work around that.
Yeah, we will.
All right.